What's going on, guys? It's ETA Prime back here again, and today I'm going to give you my review on the ODROID Go Advance. I've actually had this in my possession for about 2 weeks now. I've been using it continuously, and on February 6, 2020, they finally started to ship, so I figured I'd go ahead and get my full review video out of the way. But before we get started here, I do want to get this out of the way. The ODROID Go Advance you're about to see is drastically different from the one you see in the pictures right now, and that's because I've totally customized my unit. I've painted it and added new buttons. If you're interested in doing something like that, I have created a full assembly tutorial, a painting tutorial, and a dyeing tutorial. I'll leave all 3 links in the description in case you want to customize your Go Advance when you get a hold of one. So first things first, the ODROID Go Advance comes as a kit. You will have to fully assemble it. You'll also need to install the operating system to the SD card, and you'll need to add games. There are no preloaded games whatsoever with the Go Advance. The price on this is set at $55 USD, plus you'll have to add shipping. For me to get one shipped from Hardkernel themselves to the United States, it was $67.48. Now, I'm pretty sure these will be available on Amazon later on down the road, and shipping should be free there, but it's going to be a while before they make it to Amazon. So like I said, I have fully customized my unit here. I got a new D-pad and buttons. The D-pad and buttons from the Game Boy Pocket will fit the ODROID Go Advance. And instead of painting your unit, you can actually dye it with synthetic dye. It takes a lot longer, but I think it's well worth it. So I've seen that a lot of people aren't happy with the button layout on the ODROID Go Advance. Yes, it would be nice with dual analog sticks and 4 triggers, but what we get is a single D-pad, single analog stick, 6 menu buttons at the bottom, 4 action buttons, A, B, X, Y, and we also have L and R. So yes, it would have been nice to have 4 trigger buttons and dual analog sticks, but you got to keep in mind this is a retro handheld console. There's way more games that don't support dual analog sticks and 4 triggers than there are that do, so keep that in mind. Brightness on the screen and volume on the single speaker will be controlled through software. You can use one of the menu buttons at the bottom as long as the developer programs it correctly in the operating system you're running. And by the way, your operating system will be stored on a micro SD card. I've tested up to a 256 gigabyte card and it works fine. I haven't gone past that yet, but I'm pretty sure a 512 would work. Speaking of operating systems, right now as making this video, February 6, 2020, we have 4 to choose from that we can download on the ODROID forum. ODROID Retro Arena, Batocera, Emulate, and Debian Buster for the ODROID Go Advance. I'm not sure about Emulate, but I know that the stock image, which would be the Debian Buster, Batocera, and the Retro Arena all use Emulation Station with RetroArch and some standalone emulators to get your games up and running. I guarantee there will be more to choose from in the upcoming weeks, and I have heard rumor that Laka will be coming to the Go Advance. As for the initial supported emulators on the base image, we have Atari 2600, 5200, 7800, Game Gear, Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, Master System, Mega Drive, N64, NES, PC Engine CD, PSP, PlayStation 1, Sega CD, and SNES. Now, even though N64 and PSP are supported here, it doesn't mean that every single game is going to run at full speed right now. And more emulators will definitely be added to the base image, but this is what we get now. But there are other operating systems out there like Batocera and ODROID Retro Arena. ODROID Retro Arena supports 48 systems right now. Again, not every single game is going to run at full speed, but they're working on getting as much performance out of this thing as they can. I'll give you a quick rundown on the specs. For the CPU, we have the RockChip RK3326. This is a quad-core Cortex A35 CPU at 1.3 GHz. The GPU is a dual-core Mali-G31. We also have 1 GB of RAM, and as for storage, there is 16 MB of SPI Flash storage built in, but we're going to be running everything from a micro SD card, and this will support UHS-1 cards, and I've tested up to a 256 GB card in this unit. I'm not sure if it can go any higher or not. As for the display, we have a 3.5-inch 320 by 480 TFT LCD. It's not listed as IPS, but in my opinion, it's just as good. It's a beautiful screen on this thing. It's got a 3000 mAh battery, and they claim up to 10 hours of gameplay. I've been getting more around 7 hours, which is really good for a little handheld like this. It also contains one USB 2.0 port on the top, and an exposed 10-pin female GPIO setup. The Go Advance doesn't have Wi-Fi or Ethernet built in, but you can use USB adapters in that 2.0 port. I've personally been using the Retro Arena build on my unit, and one of the main reasons is it does have more emulators. Now, it doesn't mean that every one of these is going to run at full speed, but I wanted to test as many as I could with this hardware. If you're familiar with the Raspberry Pi and RetroPie, you might notice this interface looks a lot like it. That's because it pretty much is. This is Emulation Station. We can fully theme this out, and the themes I'm using in this build here are by Travis Wilson, and I think they look really awesome on this 3.5-inch display. Emulation Station on the Go Advance does support video snaps, box art, card art, marquees, pretty much whatever you want to do with it. You can customize this to your heart's content. So I'm loving the Go Advance. This is my favorite retro emulation handheld at the moment. For me, this beats out the Super Retro game, the RG350, and anything else that's been released in 2019. But there are a few things left to be desired. Like a volume wheel. They don't have a volume wheel, so it's all controlled from within the software on the bottom buttons. I would have also loved to see dual stereo speakers, 2 analog sticks, and 4 trigger buttons. But this is what we have. For $55, I think it's a really good deal. I know it's a do-it-yourself kit. It's not as easy as buying an RG350 with 3,500 games preloaded. You will have to do some work to get this up and running, but in my opinion, it's well worth it. And not to mention the easy personal customization options that you can do to this. This is painted from the inside with polycarbonate paint. I added the Game Boy Pocket buttons and D-pad, and there's a few more little mods that I want to do a video on, like adding a heatsink to this. And I even thought about doing an RGB mod to a stock version with that crystal clear case. If anybody's interested in that, let me know in the comments below. But all of these handhelds are worthless if they can't perform well. So now let's go ahead and jump into some gameplay. First up, we have some PS1 emulation. This is Colin McRae Rally 2.0. Working flawlessly here. I haven't had any issues with any PlayStation 1 games. By the way, in my first overview video on the Go Advance, I tested out a bunch of games. You can check that video out. I had really good performance with everything that I tested. And I do plan on making a couple showcase videos for N64, PSP, and PS1. As for the initial N64 performance, this will definitely increase, but right now we do have access to full speed on a lot of the easier to run stuff, like Mario Kart, Mario 64, F-Zero X, Tony Hawk Pro Skater, Killer Instinct, and so on and so on. Harder to run games like 007 GoldenEye and Conker's Bad Fur Day are still slow on this. I do see performance increasing in the future for N64 on this device, and we'll have tons of games running at full speed, but I don't ever see this device running every single N64 game at full speed, so keep that in mind. PSP is another demanding emulator for these low-end ARM chips, but we're getting some pretty decent performance here right out of the box. I've tested a bunch of games, and a lot of the 2D stuff does run at full speed. There are a bunch of 3D games that work, but don't expect to be running God of War Chains of Olympus, Ghost of Sparta, Dub Edition, and Killzone on this at full speed. And again, just like the N64 emulator, as soon as more developers get a hold of this, performance will be increased in the PPSSPP emulator, but I don't think we'll ever get God of War and the other demanding games to run at full speed on this little device. I'm not a big fan of Sega CD, but I've tested about 5 or 6 games and I haven't had any issues there, so Sega CD is at full speed on this device already. So now I'm just going to run through some of the other systems here to give you an idea of how it performs. I will have the name of the system, emulator, and game on screen. So yes, I am a big fan of the Go Advance. I think it's well worth the price, even if you have to pay a little bit for shipping. Like I mentioned, base price is $55, but you have to calculate that shipping in if you're not getting it from Amazon in the future. In the end, I think it's a definite buy if you're into single board computers, emulation, retro handhelds. Either way I look at it, I think this is an amazing little system, and I can't wait to see the progress on the software. One thing that I would love to see running on this is Android, and I'm pretty sure in the future we might get a port over here. So that's pretty much it for this video, guys. I really appreciate you watching. I have created several videos on the Go Advance. I'll leave a playlist in the description. If you're interested in doing any customization, definitely check those out. If you have any questions or you want to see anything else running on the Go Advance in the future, just let me know in the comments below. But like always, thanks for watching.